With us for the next 25 minutes are Dr. Jake Dunning. He really is the man, Head of Emerging Infections at Public Health England, and our global health correspondent, Tulip Mazumdar. So, to our first question. Well, it's a disease a bit like flu. It spread from China rapidly around the world. People can have it for about 2 weeks before symptoms appear, and it passes from person to person through the air, often through coughs and sneezes. So how do you know if you've got it? Well, among the symptoms are fever, a dry cough and muscle pain. Jake, this sounds a lot like the flu. How is it different?
So the viruses are very different. They're two completely different family of viruses, but the symptoms are actually quite similar. So as you said, fever, dry cough, some people get muscle aches as well. So the actual illnesses aren't that dissimilar.
And there's no vaccine?
There's a vaccine for flu, and we also have some antiviral treatments for flu. We don't have those things yet for coronavirus.
So, Tulip, if you have these symptoms that we've just shown people, should you go and get tested if you can in your country, or should you automatically stay at home and self-isolate?
Well, what you do depends on where you are in the world. But if you are concerned that you have coronavirus, i.e. you've been to a country that's got lots of cases, or you've been in touch with someone that you know has coronavirus, then a good idea would be to self-isolate. Here in the UK, for example, there's a 111 service. It's an online service, 111 NHS. You can also dial the number and they will give you good information. Elsewhere around the world, yes, good idea, self-isolate in the first instance. Contact your health provider on the phone. Don't go in and they will be able to give you some good advice.
Well, Julie in Singapore recovered from the virus and she told us about her symptoms.
When I was going through the critical stage, one of the things that I encountered was really breathing. It felt my lungs were going in overdrive. They were really making an effort. You know, it's not like normal days, right? When we're not even conscious of how we breathe. It was just so laborious trying to get from my bed to the bathroom, which was like, 5 meters away. Just walking to the bathroom, and it was just challenging.
So good to see Julie has recovered. Jake, is breathing one of the main causes of concern?
So certainly those who get more sick, and that's only a small proportion of people, they can get quite difficult problems with their breathing, but that's less than 1 in 5 people who will get that sort of severe illness where it really makes it difficult to breathe and gives a really bad cough as well.
And when you look at the figures, flu has killed so many more people this year than the coronavirus. Why are we so concerned? Why are we taking it so seriously?
So this is a new virus, so very few people have immunity to this virus so far, because they haven't seen it before. And also it's spreading quite quickly around the world. So there's a potential for a lot of people to become infected very quickly and become infected before we've developed a vaccine and before we have effective treatments available.
And it's older people that are the great concern at the moment. If that's the case, Jake, why are they shutting schools and universities?
So in some countries, not all, they have made the decision to close schools and universities. And that's based on how bad things are in their particular country and also what they think are the best measures at the time to put in place to try and control this. And it's really about trying to keep people apart. Once you try and do that, you really need to think about closing things like schools and universities so that can happen.
Well, let's take one of your questions now. Stephen in Sydney asks, what happens if the World Health Organization declares a pandemic? Tulip.
Well, the World Health Organization isn't planning on declaring a global pandemic. They've said they've already declared an international public health emergency, and that is the highest rate of urgency that there is. So declaring a pandemic wouldn't necessarily change anything. What they say at the moment is that there are a number of linked epidemics in different parts of the world, mainly in China, South Korea, Iran and Italy. In other countries, they say it's still containable. They say it's actually still containable internationally at this time, and that at the moment this isn't a pandemic. Now, I must say, if you speak to some other scientists, they are saying that we are transitioning into that period of a global pandemic if we're not in one already. But what the World Health Organization says that practically what we do, nothing will change if you call it a pandemic, and actually that might just panic people, and sort of some countries might just say, okay, well, it's here now, there's not much we can do, when actually there is still a lot countries can do to contain this.